Senate will come to order. The senators will please take their seats. Those persons not entitled to the privilege of the floor will please retire to the gallery. The senators and all in attendance will stand and be led in prayer by the Reverend Charles Phillips, Rosewood Presbyterian Church, Prince George, Virginia. Following the prayer, everyone will remain standing and be led in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America by our own Senate Assistant Clerk in Links, Nathan Hatfield.
I'm humbled and delighted to be here. Humbled, of course, delighted because this powerful body still invokes the presence of Almighty God in their deliberations. Thank you for that. Let us pray. Almighty God, hallowed be your name. You have made us, and I believe you love all of us and desire good for all of us. You are powerful, and most of us in this room have been blessed with a great deal of power and influence. Inspire every one of us to use our power and influence for your purposes. Cause us to be aware that you are in this room and continually remind us of our individual responsibilities to be like you, always loving, always merciful, always gracious, always strong, and always just. Cause us to remember that you are never wrong, but each of us needs much forgiveness. Remind us of our responsibility to forgive one another. And don't let us, who are the most powerful, ever forget the responsibility we have to the most vulnerable and the least powerful. Guide us with your almighty wisdom to make decisions and policies that help and not harm. And most of all, Almighty God, lead these senators so that at the end of each day, you have used this Senate to bless the citizens of Virginia with your perfect and loving will. To you be the glory. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The clerk will call the roll. All those in attendance will please record their vote aye. Clerk will close the roll.
You have a quorum, Mr. President. Senate Journal for Thursday, January 30th, 2020.
The junior senator from Chesterfield, Senator Hashmi, moves that the reading of the journal be waived. All in favor of waiving the reading of the journal will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 36, noes only 3.
Ayes 36, noes 3. The reading of the journal is waived. The clerk will report any communication from the House of Delegates. Senior Senator from Fairfax, Senator Saslaw.
Mr. President, I move that we waive the reading of the communications from the House of Delegates.
Thank you, Senator. The question is, shall the reading of the communication from the House of Delegates be waived? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 36, noes 4.
Ayes 36, noes 4. The reading of the communication from the House of Delegates is waived. The clerk will report any communication from the governor.
We do not have any communications from the governor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Now comes the time in the morning hour where we have the privilege and the honor of welcoming our guests here to the Senate. And I will give my daily reminder of the way this will proceed is that a senator will stand up and recognize an individual or group. I will then offer the warm welcome of the Senate. And at the very end, we will all applaud together. I'd like to begin by recognizing the junior senator from Richmond City, Senator Morrissey.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I rise for the purpose of an introduction.
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, the prayer this morning was offered by the Reverend Charles Phillips. He is from Rosewood Presbyterian Church. If Reverend Phillips looks familiar, it's because he is. He has been here from time to time. He is the father of Abby Phillips, who is a legislative assistant, the senior legislative assistant for Senator McClellan. So with that said, Mr. President, I'd ask that the body and you give a warm Virginia State Senate welcome to Reverend Charles Phillips.
I thank the senator. Would the Reverend Charles Phillips and Abby Phillips please rise to the gallery if you are able? Reverend, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for that beautiful prayer. It really was extraordinary, and I think got us all off to the right foot on this Friday. We're grateful to you for your moral leadership here in the Commonwealth. Abby, thank you for your tremendous work here for Senator McClellan and on behalf of the people of the Commonwealth of Virginia. We're very grateful for your service. I would ask everybody to please join me in extending the warmest welcome of the Senate to the Reverend Charles Phillips and to Abby Phillips. Senator from Roanoke County, Senator Suderline.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise for an introduction.
Thank you, Senator. You have the floor.
I think this is the first introduction I've had all year, so it's very nice. You know, I represent a district far from here. Today I've got my friend Izzy Knight here from Bedford County, and he's joined with his children Elijah and Hannah. Izzy is a member of the Soil and Water Board, representing Bedford County and the areas there as recently as January 1st. He's also involved in other civic activities in the greater Lynchburg and Roanoke area, and also a small businessman himself. So I hope you'll give him and his children the warm welcome of the Senate.
I thank the senator. Would Izzy, Elijah, and Hannah Knight please rise in the gallery if you're able? Izzy, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for bringing your two beautiful children with you to the Capitol. We appreciate very much your service on the Soil and Water Board and also all you do to make that great part of the Commonwealth even better. So we appreciate you. Elijah and Hannah, you're welcome back here anytime. And I know your senator from Roanoke County, Senator Suderline, is very grateful that you would travel to be here with them today. I would ask everybody to please join me in extending the warmest welcome of the Senate to the Knight family. Senator from Western Fairfax, Senator Marsden.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise for an introduction.
Thank the senator. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. In the gallery with us today is my mentor, great friend, and former delegate in the House of Delegates for some 34, I think, years from the 41st District. He was on chairman of the Education Committee when he was here, a budget conferee, and love to hear the story of the day he asked to get off ag and Speaker John Warren Cook put him on appropriations and privileges and elections. And I'd like us to give the warm Senate welcome to our former colleague and friend, Delegate Jim Dillard.
I thank the senator. Would our friend, former Delegate Jim Dillard, please rise in the gallery if you are able? Jim, thank you so much for joining us here today. It's an honor and a privilege to have you back in the Capitol. Thank you for your leadership over the course of many, many years to make this Commonwealth a better place for all 8.5 million people. So I know the senator from Western Fairfax, Senator Marsden, is very grateful to have you, as is everyone here. I would ask everybody to please join me and extend the warmest welcome of the Senate to former Delegate Jim Dillard. The senior senator from Chesterfield, Senator Chase.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise for the purposes of an introduction.
Thank the senator. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today in the gallery, we have a very special guest, my friend, Tim Anderson from Virginia Beach. Tim is the owner of Anderson Associates PC, and he is also a Regent University graduate, law school 1999. He focuses his practice on bankruptcy, criminal defense, aviation law, wills, and some family law. He also sits on the board of directors for Tidewater Youth Services Foundation, Tidewater Bankruptcy Bar, and is a den leader for a Cub Scout Den 7 in Pack 364. And Mr. President, he may look familiar to many of you if you're on Facebook. He is what I call a rising star on Facebook, defending the Second Amendment as an attorney and helping those of us who are looking to defend our rights here in the General Assembly. And he's been shadowing me today, and I am so honored to have him here. And just appreciate you giving him the warm welcome of the Senate. Thank you.
Thank the senator. Would Tim Anderson please rise in the gallery if you're able? Tim, thank you so much for joining us here in the Capitol today. We appreciate all that you do in civic life to help our families and others have more opportunity, and we really appreciate it. I know the senior senator from Chesterfield, Senator Chase in particular, is happy to have you here, so keep up your great work. And I would ask everybody to please join me in extending the warmest welcome of the Senate to Tim Anderson. Do any other senators wish to be recognized for purposes of an introduction? Is there any other business to come in the morning hour? Seeing none, the clerk will call the calendar.
Senate calendar for Friday, January 31st, 2020. Uncontested calendar. Senate bills on third reading.
Senior Senator from Fairfax, Senator Saslaw.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate bills on third reading on the uncontested calendar, that's pages 1 through 7, Senate Bill 528 through Senate Bill 1039, be placed on their final passage in a block. Any senator desiring to remove a bill from the block, please do so after the clerk has read the number of the bill.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the Senate bills on the uncontested calendar, third reading, pages 1 through 7, Senate Bill 528 through Senate Bill 1039, be placed on their final passage in the block, with the understanding that any senator desiring a bill be removed from the block will do so after the clerk has read the number of the bill. All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is agreed to. The bills are before us in the block. Clerk will read the number of the bills.
Senate Bill 528, Senate Bill 40, Senate Bill 54, Senate Bill 362, Senate Bill 423, Senate Bill 569, Senate Bill 605, Senate Bill 651, Senate Bill 652, Senate Bill 671, Senate Bill 828, Senate Bill 1019, Senate Bill 1039.
The question is, shall the bill...
Chairman. Mr. President, I'm sorry.
Senator from Franklin County, Senator Stanley.
Sorry, Mr. President, can Senate Bill 528 come out of the block and go by for the day, please?
Without objection.
Mr. President, I object
Junior
to...
Senator from Chesterfield, Senator Hashmi.
Thank you. I object to removal of SB 528 from the, and I ask that it be voted on this morning.
Thank the Senator. Is there an objection?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, it's in too many committees.
Hold on, wait one second. Wait one second. Sorry, Senator from Franklin County, Senator Stanley.
Yes, Mr. President, due to the patron's objection, can Senate Bill 528 come out of the block?
Without objection?
I object that it come out of the block.
Mr. President. Senator from James City County, Senator Norman Rise.
Speaking to the motion,
Senator, has the floor.
My comments are not meant to be an admonition, but rather a sharing of tradition, usage, and custom in the Senate. And we have gone through a few days in this session where many bills have been passed by for the day that I expect are more volatile and politically divisive than Bill 528. And generally, as a matter of courtesy, particularly if it is the first time that a bill has been on the third reading, whether it's on the uncontested or the regular calendar, that as a matter of courtesy to our colleagues, we allow that courtesy to take place.
Junior Senator from Chesterfield, Senator Hashmi.
I withdraw my objection, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. With that withdrawal, Senate Bill 528 will be removed from the block. The question is, shall the bills in the block pass? That is, all bills except for Senate Bill 528. All in favor of passage of the bills will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, no 0.
Ayes 40, no 0. The bills in the block pass.
Regular calendar, Senate bills on third reading. I thought he was by for the day. Senate Bill 528 on page 1.
The junior senator from Chesterfield, Senator Hashmi.
Mr. President, I request that we move passage of SB 528.
The senator wants to speak to the bill.
This is simply a charter bill requested by the City of Richmond to revise his charter and to make sure that all council members that are elected in the City of Richmond reside in the district for which they are elected.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard? For what purpose does the junior senator from Richmond City, Senator Morrissey, rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. Speaking on behalf of SB 528.
Senator, the floor.
For those individuals in this body that maybe weren't as familiar with the doings in Richmond City Council as the patron was, this involved a city council person. I think the genesis of this bill was a city council person who actually left his residence in a particular district, moved into another district, and the people in that 5th district felt disenfranchised. It's very much a non-controversial charter change for the city of Richmond, and I hope the body would support SB 528.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding Senate Bill 528?
I think Senator Newman.
Senator from Bedford, Senator Newman.
Mr. President, I'd ask that the bill go by for the day as a substitute motion. I think that that these items that require a supermajority ought to be discussed on their merits, and I'd hate to see what is a pretty important bill to Richmond go down because of concerns about process. So, Mr. President, I would just ask that the bill go by for the day.
Motion on the table. Motion on the table. For what purpose? Hold on. For what purpose is the senior senator from Richmond, Senator McClellan, rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. Would the senator from Bedford yield for question?
Yield. The senator yields. You have the floor.
Mr. President, I'd ask the senator from Bedford if he'd be willing to take this by temporarily, so that I think the senator from Chesterfield and both senators from Richmond just have a couple of questions for you.
Mr. President, I would revise it to be by temporarily. Let's see if we can work it out now, because I do think that it's important on these supermajority bills that we consider them based on their merits.
For what purpose is the senator from Prince William County, Senator McPike, rise?
Mr. President, just a point of order, an inquiry of the clerk. Are charter changes requiring of a supermajority?
They require 27 votes. Passage. 27 votes. For what purpose is the senator from Northern Chesapeake, Senator Spruill, rise?
Mr. Chairman.
Speak to the motion. Senator has the floor.
Thank you. Mr. President, this bill came before the subcommittee, 528. If you look at it, Mr. Chairman, including Senator Stanley, it was presented to the subcommittee. Every member voted for it, including my friend Senator Stanley, Hanger, everyone on that side who, for the full committee, they voted for it. So I'm trying to figure out that when it came before the full committee, how come whatever it is they want to talk about now, what is it now they want to talk about, especially when you got the two who represent Richmond who are in favor of the bill, and it's a charter change by the city. So unless they want to make it politically incorrect, it's a charter bill by the city, and every member on this committee, local government, every last one of us voted for it. Thank you.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding the pending motion, which is to take the bill by temporarily? For what purpose is the senior senator from Richmond City, Senator McClellan, rise?
Speaking to the motion, Mr. President.
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, I ask that we agree to take this by temporarily. I think there has been some miscommunication, and I think we can sort this out in the interim. I think that there's some courtesy due on both sides, and I don't want to see a bill jeopardized because of a lack of communication. I think we can work this out.
Thank you, Senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard on the pending motion to take the bill by temporarily? Is there any objection to taking the bill by temporarily? Without objection, Senate Bill 528 will go by temporarily.
Regular calendar, Senate bills on third reading. Senate Bill 391, a bill relating to adult abuse, financial exploitation, required vote by financial institutions.
Senator from Prince William County, Senator McPike.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the bill pass. And speaking to the motion.
Senator has the floor.
We dealt with the amendment to this bill yesterday, which now provides essentially an extension from the senator from Rockingham's work last year in regards to reporting of financial institutions and allowing them to hold those transactions for a period of time that is currently law. So this now, as amended, requires that the banks, if they are to hold the transaction, that then they report that transaction. Having said that, Mr. President, the underlying bill that was before the body, I would just like a few thoughts on it, because this issue is not going away, and I know several members of the body are working with good faith to make some of those corrections, and I think everyone recognizes there's more work to be done. But as you look over, the majority of the states already have the underlying mandatory reporting language in the codes and is a requirement. What I find interesting for the body's consideration and as we think through this over the year is that, in fact, more stories come to light every single day. The humiliation that vulnerable adults and our seniors face is extraordinarily painful. Our financial institutions are the keepers of an entire lifetime of wealth, and sometimes that's not a whole lot. And the number of scams that are going on today that are bilking out of untold, I think the senator from Rockingham cited $1 billion. This is not ending through this legislation. This is one small measure, which I think moves the needle forward. But I'd like you also consider the counter and opposing arguments against mandatory reporting that you've seen in the halls and some of those in the banking industry who have opposed the full mandatory reporting. And that is, they'll lose customers. Think about that statement. We'll lose customers. You know, I'm pretty grateful from the credit card companies that send me an alert if they have a suspicious activity. I actually see that as an added benefit to my financial and banking relationship. But there are other institutions that don't do that, that are not doing that. In fact, they'd argue that they would lose that customer relationship. So think about what that ultimately means. What their argument is against the underlying bill that we started with is that we'll lose money. So they're literally willing to sacrifice our elderly or incapacitated adults for their own financial gain. That is the premise of the argument, which unfortunately the reason why this went by for just about 2 weeks, because the underlying bill would not pass this chamber. Each year as I bring this issue up, I hear more and more and more stories of the scam artists that are continuing through phone calls, through scams online, through in-person, all sorts of creative acts to bilk life savings from some of our most vulnerable. This needs to be addressed. It's not going to be addressed this year based on the posture of the body. More and more associations have recognized this, including the North American Securities Administration Association says that the underlying bill was actually model legislation. More and more associations are recognizing the impact of absence of mandatory reporting has on our seniors. If you have an opportunity, I would encourage you to sit down with someone a family who has gone through this, and speak to that parent, that grandparent, and look in their eyes at the humiliation and shame as they've gotten scammed. And you will realize the underlying importance that this body needs to act. And I know there are folks who have opposed this and asked that this go away if we vote for this provision and this just go away. And I'm going to say to them, it's not going to go away, because even by passing this, we will have more and more elderly and incapacitated adults be scammed. So I thank the body for working with me for at least this one small measure to move forward. And I appreciate the body's time on this. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank the senator. For what purpose, senator from James City County? Senator Norman, rise.
Mr. President, I would respectfully ask the gentleman from Prince William if he would yield for a question or two regarding the bill.
Will the senator yield?
I yield.
Senator yields. You have the floor.
Mr. President, my first question is that the bill as originally drafted included a paragraph 8, which would have provided that financial institutions were mandatory reporters. Is that not correct?
Mr. President, I'd answer the senator that is correct.
Mr. President, if the gentleman would yield for a further question.
I yield.
Senator yields. You have the floor.
Mr. President, my question to the gentleman would be, and in fact it was that provision that the Virginia Bankers Association and many others objected to. Is that correct?
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, I'd answer the senator that he is correct.
Further question?
Okay. Mr. President, if the gentleman would yield for another question.
I yield.
Senator yields. You have the floor.
Mr. President, my question would be that if this bill is returned from the House of Delegates or from the governor with an amendment that attempts to reinsert financial institutions as a mandatory reporter, will you agree to resist that?
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, I would agree to resist that this year as a part of moving this effort forward. However, the issue will be back next year.
Okay.
Further
Mr.
question?
President, I thank the gentleman. Speaking to the substitute, which is really the issue that was before us,
Senator has the floor.
Underlying bill. Mr. President, I appreciate the gentleman's candor that originally, as the bill was reported, as it was drafted, would have made financial institutions and all its employees mandatory reporters. And I come at the issue from several perspectives. Many years ago, I actually worked as a bank teller. And as I reflected on that, the thought that we were potentially going to impose a mandatory reporting requirement with some exposure on liability to a frontline teller is very different than the other 7 categories that are included in there as mandatory reporters. Mr. President, I would further say that I considered some of the comments made by the gentleman as disingenuous at best towards the financial and banking industry. It is not all, the objections are not all about customer relations or losing customers. It is about that mandatory reporting requirement. I happen to know a little bit about financial institutions, and I would be the first to acknowledge, in the interest of full disclosure, that I am chairman of a local bank board and on a corporate board and get exposed to many of the regulations. In every corporate board meeting, unfortunately, we end up spending 45 minutes to an hour reviewing the most recent federal and state regulations that are dealing with banking. And so I would suggest to you that there is a lot of education in the banking community on this issue. But there are other safeguards that we can talk about it another day. Another hat that I wear is a commissioner of accounts. And part of the job of the commissioner of accounts, working in concert with the clerk of the circuit court, is to review many estates, many trusts and wills. And it is not uncommon that we have brought to the attention of the Commissioner of Accounts and therefore to the court where there are examples of elder abuse. So I would just suggest to you, Mr. President, that there are some other safeguards about it, and we can have that dialogue in some more depth next year if we revisit this. But I rise in support of the substitute, sir.
Thank the senator. For what purpose, Senator from Northern Chesapeake? Senator Spruill, rise.
Apologize.
No problem. For what purpose, the senator from Arlington? Senator Favola, rise.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to speak in support of the bill.
Senator, has the floor.
And I just want to note, I believe that this actually gets us a lot farther along in terms of expecting responsibility on the part of our financial institutions. I know my colleague from Prince William County had a very ideal concept in his mind on where he wanted this to go, but the fact of the matter is we have to work within the processes and with the partners we already have and understand the complexity of the task we're asking them to implement. And what this bill does, it actually acknowledges that financial institutions have policies they have internal policies to identify when and where there might be exploitation. And if, in fact, the institution takes an action such as denying a transaction, delaying a transaction, or deciding not to disperse funds, when one of those actions is taken, then they're under the responsibility to report to the Department of Social Services or the hotline. So this really does fit with the way the banks are doing business. It takes it one step further by requiring reporting. If we want to go to a place where banks know immediately or without doubt when there's financial exploitation and everybody in the bank would be aware of that, we'll have to do a lot more training, and we will need the help of our financial partners. So we will not serve our constituencies well if we turn this into a we versus they. We will not serve our constituencies well. I worked with the financial institutions to come up with a substitute that we adopted yesterday, and their intent was to try to do the right thing. They were looking for ways to do it that were practical. So I urge the body, if we care about financial exploitation, to vote for this bill and keep an open mind, and don't turn this conversation into a we versus they. With all due respect, I hope we pass the bill. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank the senator. For what purpose, the senator from Rockingham? Senator Obenshain, rise.
I rise to speak briefly to the bill.
Senator, has the floor.
I will not long trespass upon your time on this bill. I do want to thank the gentlelady from Arlington for her work on this, and gentleman from Prince William. I think this is an important step forward. I do want to echo what the gentlelady from Arlington said about our financial institutions. They are doing a good job of educating their tellers and staff about their responsibilities. There are federal regulations that place increased pressure upon banks to look out for their older customers and to make these reports. There are safe harbors. The former minority leader down the hall, Delegate Toscano, and I last year worked on the legislation that this is built around. And I want to tell you that the banks are using this. Some of you know that I spent a little bit of time in the courtroom dealing with these issues, trying to protect elders and their families from financial exploitation. And I want to tell you that just last year, shortly after this legislation passed last year, I filed a will contest on behalf of a family of a 93-year-old woman. And unbeknownst to us, the financial institution that housed $1.3 million of her assets that were about to be pilfered filed an interpleader action in the very same court on virtually the very same day. So our financial institutions are taking seriously their responsibilities. They don't want to see their customers robbed and fleeced and being taken advantage of. I think we need to make sure that we continue to provide encouragement to them and provide them with the protection for doing the right thing. The gentleman is exactly right. This is a booming trade in Virginia, and people view it as business, taking advantage of our elders. Right now, we spend a little bit of time talking about how much jail time we're going to give people for stealing $500 or $1,000 worth of property. But if you steal $1 million in the form of stealing an estate from an old person, you're really not at risk of any criminal penalty. And we've got to do something about that. This is an important step. We can take other important steps this year, and I look forward to working with the gentleman in years to come, making sure that we're protecting those in our society who are unable to protect themselves. So I would urge passage of this substitute.
Thank the senator. For what purpose, Senator from Russell, Senator Chafin rise.
Mr. President, I'd like to speak to the measure.
Senator has the floor.
And I'd like to first preface my comments with a statement that I support the substitute, and I would encourage others to support the substitute. Like our minority leader, I too am chairman of a community bank that has offices not too far from here, all over this state and in Tennessee. And, I just want to say, Mr. President, that certainly in my experience, banks, community banks, large and small, national banks, they are the best form of protection. They are the best partners that the elderly can have in the business community. Oftentimes, those elderly individuals represent customers that many of the tellers know. They've known them for years. They've had their accounts there for years in many, many situations. And, of course, there's a lot of caring and respect for those elders, and those bank employees want to go the extra mile to try to assist those elderly members of our community that have earned their respect. Now, I will not stand for those that seek to vilify the banks for some reason or to suggest that the banks are in somehow a party to the taking advantage of these elderly individuals. Nothing could be further from the truth, Mr. President. I think that the substitute represents a good compromise. I think all parties worked in good faith to reach that substitute, and I recommend it to the body.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding Senate Bill 391? Seeing none, the question is, shall Senate Bill 391 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, noes 0.
Ayes 40, noes 0. Senate Bill 391 passes.
Senate Bill 869, a bill relating to notice by localities.
Senior Senator from Virginia Beach, Senator D-Staff.
Mr. President, can Senate Bill 869 go by for the day while a floor substitute's being prepared and working with the senator from King George and some others?
Without objection, Senate Bill 869 will go by for the day.
Senate Bill 95, a bill relating to health insurance, essential health benefits, preventive services.
Senator from Arlington, Senator Favola.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that the bill pass. And speaking to the motion.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. What this bill does is it would require any health care carrier in the Commonwealth, with the exception of a carrier offering a short-term plan. With that exception, any other carrier would be required to provide essential health care benefits as defined in the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act as of January 1st, 2019. So it just codifies effectively our prevention and essential health benefits as we now know them in the Affordable Care Act. Those benefits, in case some of you are unaware, usually relate back to standards established by the Centers for Disease Control or the Health Resources and Services Administration. They would require vaccinations for babies, continued baby well checks, would require maternal and child health visits, your basic preventive care that you would go to your doctor for. We want to ensure that all Virginians with standard plans and association plans have access to these services. With that explanation, I hope the bill passes.
Thank the Senator. For what purpose is Senator from Henrico? Senator Dunavant, rise.
Mr. President, I wonder if the patron will yield for a question.
Will Senator yield?
Yes, happy to yield.
Thank you, Mr.
Senator Yields,
President.
you have the floor.
I want to make sure I understand. Does this cover fully insured plans?
Yes.
Senator has the floor.
And does it cover large group ERISA plans?
Senator has the floor.
My understanding would be yes. Does not large group? Did you say large group ERISA?
Or any ERISA plans?
Well, the ERISA is covered under a different section of the federal law. These plans would be sort of your standard plans, your association plans, not your short-term plans.
Mr. President, another question.
Catastrophic plans were in here.
Further question?
Further question.
Senator Yield? Senator Yield?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I'm wondering if the association plans are in many cases ERISA plans. So the question, Mr. President, is how is this compliant with federal law for ERISA plans which are not accountable to state mandated benefits?
Senator has the floor.
I would just refer the senator to line 2010, where it talks about health insurance policies and policies that pay on a cost incurred basis, and they give the example of association plans.
Mr. President.
Further question?
There are different types of association plans. And further question, Mr. President.
Senator Yield.
Mr. President, what plans exist in Virginia today that do not provide essential health benefits, if I may ask the patron?
Senator has the floor.
When I spoke to the Department of Insurance, I was advised that it would probably be our short-term plans, but there were very few of them. I was informed that plans in Virginia would likely cover the essential health benefits. I'm tying it back to the January 1st, 2019 regulations. That's really what the key thing is in my bill.
Further question?
Yes, Mr. President. I would ask of the patron, why do we need a bill when the free market has already ensured that all of the plans she's speaking of include the essential health benefits?
Senator has the floor.
Well, it's the reason that we legislate in many areas. We want to make sure going forward that these essential health benefits are always part of our plans, and if there should be a rollback of benefits articulated under the Affordable Care Act, we could then be at risk because we structured, this statute is entirely structured, it walks back to the Affordable Care Act. So what we did was we just memorialized those provisions as identified January 1st, 2019. A decision was made before my bill to tie these sections back to the Affordable Care Act.
Mr. President, speak to the bill.
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, everyone in this room came out of an election cycle this year, and I think everyone in this room can speak to the understanding they have from their district that health care, and specifically the cost of health care, is the number one concern of Virginians. The marketplace is strapped and befuddled by all sorts of regulations that make it difficult to make sure that patients don't pay too much for health insurance and services. One of the most significant things this body can do is pass arbitrary mandated benefits. we do not know the consequences of. In this case, not only are we pretending that we're protecting individuals in the state by making sure they have care, but we are potentially jeopardizing how much they pay for that care. Mr. President, national studies have showed every time a state institutes another mandated benefit, it increases the cost of everyone's health care in that state by 1% at least, sometimes as much as 10%. I would encourage the body to vote against this bill. It is both unnecessary and potentially damaging. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. Do any other senators other than the patron wish to be heard on Senate Bill 95? Seeing none, Senator from Arlington, Senator Favola.
Thank you, Mr. President. I certainly appreciate the interest in this bill. I will note that under federal law, there's no copay that would be required for any of these services. And the physician groups and nurse practitioner groups, many healthcare advocates strongly argue that preventive services keeps the cost of healthcare down. The argument today is we need to ensure people try to stay healthy. And to stay healthy, you should be accessing services that enable you to do that, such as getting your flu shots, or taking your child to get a vaccination, or ensuring that your baby is developing along what would be expected good practice. So again, I don't see how I'm harming the healthcare world by ensuring that we have preventive services. And I again believe, and studies have indicated, that such services in the long run keep the cost of healthcare down. So again, I ask that the bill pass.
What purpose, Senator from Henrico? Senator Donovan, rise.
Forgive me for speaking a second time, Mr. President, but
Senator,
I'd like to speak to the bill. Again, I've investigated this in great detail because essential health benefits have been a topic of conversation as I have looked at alternative insurance options for the marketplace. Essential health benefits are already covered. They're already covered, and there are unknown consequences of legislating. I don't think any one of you can question how much more difficult it is for us to solve the problem in the healthcare marketplace because of what government intervention that is well intended but has confounding complications in how we administrate it. I beseech you, do not vote for this bill.
Question is, shall Senate Bill 95 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 21, noes 19.
Ayes 21, noes 19. Senate Bill 95 passes.
Senate Bill 246, a bill relating to Department of Motor Vehicles sex designation.
Senator from Eastern Fairfax, Senator Servell.
Thank you, Mr. President. My daughter has a soccer game at 5 o'clock. Can this go by for the day?
Is there any objection? Without objection, Senate Bill 246 will go by for the day.
Senate Bill 345, a bill relating to workers' compensation, presumption of compensability for certain diseases.
Senator from Loudoun, Senator Bell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move passage of the bill and speak to the motion.
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, this provides at a very minimal cost the presumption of disability for infectious diseases for our brave correctional officers and DMV officers. It's done at a fairly low cost, and it's something that will give them protection if they have an exposure. And I move passage, renew my motion, move passage of the bill.
Thank you, Senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding Senate Bill 345? Seeing none, the question is, shall Senate Bill 345 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, noes 0.
Ayes 40, noes 0. Senate Bill 345 passes.
Senate Bill 480, a bill relating to covenants not to compete, low-wage employees, civil penalty.
Senior Senator from Virginia Beach, Senator D-Staff.
Mr. President, I move the passage of the bill. Speaking to that.
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, I'm going to be very brief here. This is the same bill that was brought by Senator Wagner that got through this body last year. And what it does is it makes sure that employers cannot put overly due restrictions on low-wage employees and have them force them to sign non-competes. So if you work in the restaurant industry, we want to make sure that McDonald's doesn't say, because you know how the secret sauce is made, we're not going to allow you to go to Burger King. That's a good example, a short example. I can go through about 400 other examples, but I wanted to be brief on this. I'm happy to answer any questions from anybody on this, except I do not know what's in the secret sauce. Thank you, Mr. President. I move the bill passage.
Thank you, Senator. For what purpose, Senator from Fairfax City? Senator Peterson rise.
Gentleman, yield for a question.
Will Senator yield?
I will, Mr. President.
Senator Yields, you have the floor.
I'd ask the gentleman, I'm looking for the attorney fee provision in this act, and I don't see it.
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, I have no idea what he's asking about with the attorney fee provision.
Further question, Mr. Chair.
Well, Senator yield for further question.
Who's going to bring these actions to avoid these non-compete agreements? You think folks are going to bring them pro se?
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, again, I'm not an attorney, so I have no idea. But I do know that with a low-wage employee, if you've got an employee who's working at McDonald's or Burger King, that they should not have to sign a non-compete.
Right.
Or we should not restrict somebody who works in one restaurant from working at another restaurant, one automobile dealership with working at another automobile dealership, and I can continue to go.
Further question?
I hesitate. Could I make a request? Let's go by today and speak to the motion.
Senator has the floor.
The bill last year had attorney's fees. And let me just make a point. If you don't have an attorney fee provision in a code section like this, you might as well not have it. Because ordinary workers are not going to know about their rights, and attorneys don't work for free. No, they don't. And so, yeah, they should? Right. Okay, but the bottom line is, well, maybe Stanley does. But the bottom line is, this is a good law. This is a good law, but it does need an attorney's fees provision that's going to be enforceable, and I'm happy to work with the patron on that.
Mr. President, I'm happy to take this by either temporarily or for the day to work on that provision. For the day.
Yep.
We want to make sure that the senator from Fairfax can make it home for his daughter's soccer game at 5 o'clock. Certainly want to make sure he's not late.
Without objection, Senate Bill 480 will go by for the day.
Senate Bill 578, a bill relating to a system for early childhood care and education establishment licensure.
Senator from Northern Fairfax, Senator Howe.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the bill pass.
Thank you,
This
Senator.
bill is the result of 2 years of effort by virtually every interest group that cares about young children. It is a major reorganization of how we deal with young children's programs. It moves most of the Department of Social Services activities over to the Department of Education, where it's generally accepted that that's the better location. It also deals with having a rating system for various child care providers. People can opt in or out of that if they do not get state funding, but if they do get state funding, they will need to be part of the rating system. That's what the bill does.
Thank the Senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding Senate Bill 578? Seeing none, the question is, shall Senate Bill 578 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? Clerk, close the roll.
Ayes 31, noes 7.
Ayes 31, noes 7. Senate Bill 578 passes.
Senate Bill 6662, a bill relating to prohibiting employers from retaliating against employees for reporting employee misclassification civil penalty.
Senator from Northwestern Fairfax, Senator Boysko.
Mr. President, I move the bill pass.
Thank you, Senator. You want to speak to the motion?
Certainly. Speaking to this is an administration bill. They have studied misclassification over the past decade and found that there are, serious incidents where people are being misclassified. This protects those workers who, in good faith, make a report, and those arguments would go to the Commissioner of Labor and Industry.
Thank the Senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding Senate Bill 662? Seeing none, the question is, shall Senate Bill 662 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 25, noes 13.
Ayes 25, noes 13. Senate Bill 662 passes.
Uncontested calendar, Senate bills on second reading.
Senior Senator from Fairfax, Senator Saslaw.
Mr. President, I move that all Senate bills on second reading on the uncontested calendar, pages 12 through 17, it's Senate Bill 168 through Senate Bill 1012, be advanced to their engrossment and third reading in a block after the adoptions of any amendments thereto. And any senator desiring to remove a bill from the block, please do so after the clerk has read the number of the bill.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall all Senate bills on second reading on the uncontested calendar on pages 12 through 17, Senate Bill 168 through Senate Bill 1012, be engrossed in advance to their third reading in the block after the adoption of any amendments thereto, and that any senator desiring a bill be removed from the block will do so after the clerk has read the number of the bill. All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is agreed to. The clerk will read the number of the bills.
Senate Bill 168, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with amendments.
Senior Senator from Virginia Beach, Senator DeSteff.
Mr. President, I move the committee amendments.
Thank you, Senator. The question is, shall the committee amendments be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendments are adopted.
Senate Bill 200, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with a substitute.
Senator from Southern Fairfax, Senator Barker.
Mr. President, I move that the substitute be adopted.
Thank you, Senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is adopted.
Senate Bill 338, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations. Senate Bill 458, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with a substitute.
Just want to field this for the senator from Spotsylvania. Senator from Franklin County, Senator Stanley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I now move that the committee substitute to Senate Bill 458 be adopted.
Thank you, Senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is adopted.
Senate Bill 500, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with an amendment.
Senator from Roanoke County, Senator Suderline.
I move that the committee amendment to Senate Bill 500 be adopted.
Thank you, Senator. The question is, shall the committee amendment be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendment is adopted.
Senate Bill 555, reported from the Committee on Privileges and Elections. Senate Bill 580, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations. Senate Bill 591, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with a substitute.
Senator from Augusta, Senator Hanger.
Move the committee substitute be adopted.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is adopted.
Senate Bill 681, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with an amendment.
Senator from Williamsburg, Senator Mason.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move the committee amendment be adopted.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the committee amendment be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendment is adopted.
Senate Bill 786, reported from the Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources with amendment.
Senator from Accomack, Senator Lewis.
Mr. President, move the committee amendment.
Thank you, Senator. The question is, shall the committee amendment be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendment is adopted.
Senate Bill 843, reported from the Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources. Senate Bill 919, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with amendment.
Senator from Lynchburg, Senator Peake.
Mr. President?
Yes. What purpose, Senator from Alexandria, Senator Eben Rhodes?
With the patron's indulgence, could Senate Bill 919 come out of the block and go by for the day?
No objection.
Without objection. Without objection, Senate Bill 919 will come out of the block and go by for the day.
Senate Bill 989, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with amendment.
Senator from King George, Senator Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the amendment be adopted.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the committee amendment be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendment is adopted.
Senate Bill 1012, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with amendments.
Senator from Henrico, Senator Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the committee amendments.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the committee amendments be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendments are agreed to.
Regular
for what purpose, Senior Senator from Chesterfield, Senator Chase Rise.
I'm not sure why my mic's not working. Could Senate Bill 989 come out of the block, please?
Without objection, Senate Bill 989 will be removed from the block.
Does she want to go back for the day?
Okay.
She wanted to go back for the day.
Go back for the day.
Want to go back for the day? Without objection, Senate Bill 989 will come out of the block and go by for the day. Question is, shall the Senate... Oh, for what purpose, Senator from Northern Fairfax? Senator Howell rise.
Having voted on the prevailing side, not yet.
We'll come back. All right, now we're going to motion these bills now on the block to be engrossed and advanced in a block. So that's the vote we're going to take now. The question is, shall the Senate bills be engrossed and advanced to their third reading? That is all bills except for Senate bills 919 and 989. All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bills are engrossed and advanced to their third reading. For what purpose, Senator from Northern Fairfax? Senator Howell rise.
Thank you, Mr. President. Having voted on the prevailing side by which we passed Senate Bill 578, I move we reconsider that vote.
What page is that, Senator?
11.
No, okay. Question is, shall the vote by which Senate Bill 578 passed be reconsidered? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, noes 0.
Ayes 39, noes 0. The motion is agreed to. Senator from Northern Fairfax, Senator Howell.
Thank you. I move that the bill be passed. We're just doing this because at least one person voted wrong and wants to redo it. This is the early childhood bill.
Thanks. Who was that person, Senator? We will take the vote. The question is, shall Senate Bill 578 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 31, noes 5.
Ayes 31, noes 5. Senate Bill 578 passes.
Regular calendar, Senate bills on second reading. Senate Bill 251, a bill relating to pharmacy benefits managers, licensure, and regulation, reported from the Committee on Commerce and Labor with a substitute, and there are 2 floor amendments.
Senator from Roanoke City, Senator Edwards. Senator from Augusta, Senator Hanger.
Thank you, Mr. President. With the concurrence of my seatmate on his bill here, that there are a couple of amendments that will elicit some conversation, so we'd like to pass it by for the day.
Without objection, Senate Bill 251 will go by for the day.
Senate Bill 404, a bill relating to health insurance, short-term, limited duration medical plans, reported from the Committee on Commerce and Labor with amendments.
Junior Senator from Chesterfield, Senator Hoshby.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request that SB 404 pass by for the day as we work on some amendments.
Thank the Senator. Without objection, Senate Bill 404 will go by for the day.
Senate Bill 1, a bill relating to suspension of driver's license for non-payment of fines or cost, reported from the Committee on the Judiciary with a substitute, and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with amendment.
Senator from Franklin County, Senator Stanley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I now move that the committee substitute from the Committee on the Judiciary be agreed to.
Thank you, Senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is agreed to. Senator from Franklin County, Senator Stanley.
Thank you again, Mr. President. I now move that the committee amendment from Finance and Appropriation be agreed to.
Thank you, Senator. The question is, shall the committee amendment be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendment is agreed to. Senator from Franklin County, Senator Stanley.
Thank you, Mr. President. For the final time, hopefully that we'll talk today, I now move that we engross in advance Senate Bill 1 to its third constitutional reading.
Thank you, Senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Senate Bill 65, a bill relating to voter identification, repeal of photo identification requirements, reported from the Committee on Privileges and Elections with a substitute, and there is a floor substitute.
Senator from Eastern Fairfax, Senator Servell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I likewise think this bill is going to engender some discussions. We could please take it by for the day.
Thank the Senator. Without objection, Senate Bill 65 will go by for the day.
Senate Bill 72, a bill relating to public defender offices, cities of Manassas and Manassas Park, and County of Prince William, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Senator from Eastern Fairfax, Senator Servell.
I move the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Thank you, Senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Senate Bill 110, a bill relating to research and development tax credits, sunset aggregate caps, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with a substitute.
Senator from Northern Fairfax, Senator Howe.
I move the substitute be agreed to.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is agreed to. Senator from Northern Fairfax, Senator Howe.
Now I move the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Senate Bill 231, a bill relating to sales and use tax exemption for menstrual supplies, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with amendments.
Senator from Northwestern Fairfax, Senator Boysko.
Mr. President, I move the committee amendments.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the committee amendments be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendments are adopted. Senator from Northwestern Fairfax, Senator Boysko.
Mr. President, I move that the bill be engrossed and passed to its third constitutional reading.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Senate Bill 335, a bill relating to fees to hunt and fish waiver for military service, reported from the Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources with a substitute, and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Senator from King George, Senator Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd move the substitute be adopted.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is adopted. Senator from King George, Senator Stewart.
Mr. President, I move the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Senate Bill 624, a bill relating to conditional release of geriatric prisoners, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Senator from Northern Chesapeake, Senator Spruill.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that Senate Bill 624 be engrossed and passed to its third reading.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall Senate Bill 624 be engrossed in advance to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Senate Bill 666, a bill relating to voter registration notification of denial, reported for the Committee on Privileges and Elections with amendments.
Senator from Northwestern Fairfax, Senator Boysko.
Mr. President, I move the committee amendments.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the committee amendments be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendments are adopted. Senator from Northwestern Fairfax, Senator Boysko.
Mr. President, I move that the bill be engrossed and Move to its third constitutional reading.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 698, a bill relating to alcoholic beverage control, distiller licenses, monthly revenue transfers, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with a substitute.
Senator from Williamsburg, Senator Mason.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I agree. I move the committee substitute be agreed to.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is agreed to. The senator from Williamsburg, Senator Mason.
Mr. President, I move the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 742, a bill relating to rental or leasing of dog or cat prohibited, civil penalty, reported from the Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources with amendments.
Senator from Prince William County, Senator McPike.
Mr. President, no red meat on this one today. I'm just going to move the amendments be agreed to.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee amendments be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendments are adopted. Senator from Prince William, Senator McPike.
That's what I said.
Oh, okay. Question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 787, a bill relating to City of Norfolk financing of an arena and facility, reported from the Committee on Local Government with amendments and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Senator from Accomack, Senator Lewis.
Mr. President, move adoption of the committee amendments.
Thanks, Senator. The question is, shall the committee amendments be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendments are adopted. Senator from Accomack, Senator Lewis.
Mr. President, move the bill be engrossed and advanced on to its third reading.
Thanks, Senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 857, a bill relating to voter registration, notice and public access not required for certain voter registration events, reported from the Committee on Privileges and Elections.
Right here.
Sorry. I was distracted by the House with the meows and woofs. Going to be a lot of deaths on Broad Street. Senate Bill 856, a bill relating to State Board of Elections, increased membership and terms, Commissioner of Elections role and eligibility report, reported from the Committee on Privileges and Elections with amendments.
Senator from Alexandria, Senator Eben.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the committee amendments to Senate Bill 856 be agreed to.
Thanks, Senator. The question is, shall the committee amendments be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendments are agreed to. Senator from Alexandria, Senator Eben.
Thank you, Mr. President. I now move that Senate Bill 856 be engrossed and moved on to its third constitutional reading.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Senate Bill 857, a bill relating to voter registration, notice and public access not required for certain voter registration events, reported from the Committee on Privileges and Elections with amendments.
Senator from Alexandria, Senator Eben.
Thank you. I move that the committee amendments to Senate Bill 857 be agreed to.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee amendments be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendments are agreed to. Senator from Alexandria, Senator Eben.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the bill be engrossed and moved on to its third constitutional reading.
Thank you, Senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Senate Bill 987, a bill relating to hunting waterfowl duck blinds, reported from the Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources with a substitute.
Senator from King George, Senator Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the substitute be adopted.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is adopted. Senator from King George, Senator Stewart.
Mr. President, I move the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Senate Bill 1028, a bill relating to additional local sales and use tax in Northampton County, appropriations of Northampton County to incorporated towns for educational purposes. Reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with amendments.
Senator from Accomack, Senator Lewis.
Mr. President, move the adoption of the committee amendments.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the committee amendments be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendments are adopted. Senator from Accomack, Senator Lewis.
Mr. President, move the bill be engrossed and advanced on to its third reading.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Senate Bill 1090, a bill relating to scenic rivers, Grays Creek, in Surrey County. Reported from the Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources with a substitute.
Senator from James City County, Senator Norman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would ask that the committee substitute be agreed to.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is agreed to. Senator from James City County, Senator Norman.
Mr. President, I now ask that the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Uncontested calendar, Senate bills on first reading.
Senior Senator from Fairfax, Senator Saslaw.
Mr. President, I now move that all Senate bills on first reading on the uncontested and regular calendars, that's pages 27 through 47, and Senate Bills 50 through Senate Bill 926, that the rules be suspended and the first constitutional reading of the titles be dispensed with.
Thank the Senator. Question is, shall the rules be suspended and the first reading of the titles of Senate bills on the uncontested and regular calendars, pages 27 through 47, Senate Bills 50 through Senate Bill 926, be dispensed with? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Any senator desire to change their vote? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 37, no 0.
Ayes 37, no 0. The reading of the titles is dispensed with. The senior senator from Fairfax, Senator Saslaw.
I now move that all those said bills go by for the day.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the Senate bills on the uncontested and regular calendars now on second reading go by for the day? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bills will go by for the day.
Returning to page 1, Senate Bill 528.
Mr. President.
Senior Senator from Richmond City, Senator McClellan.
Mr. President, having conferred with the patron, I ask that Senate Bill 528 go by for the day.
Without objection, Senate Bill 528 will go by for the day. For what purpose, Senator from Alexandria, Senator Eben rise?
Because my microphone button was on by mistake.
It's as good a reason as any. Senior Senator from Fairfax, Senator Saslaw.
Mr. President, I inquire of the clerk, does that complete the calendar for today?
Yes, sir.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Are there any senators who wish to be recognized? For what purpose, Senator from Western Fairfax, Senator Marsden, rise.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a quick announcement. The DMV to-go truck was here last week. It's going to be here next week. Last week they did 200 driver's license renewals, and over half of them were what do you call them? The advanced, the real ID. There you go. I'm punch drunk. Listen, a real ID is the only chance that Senator Stanley has of getting a star on his license plate. So there you go.
What purpose is the senator from Northwestern Fairfax? Senator Boysko, rise.
Mr. President?
Senator has the floor.
I would just like to remind the body, all of the people who plan to vote for in the Democratic primary, that Tuesday is our election day. I talked with my staffer earlier today, and she had been so busy taking care of work here that she had completely forgotten. So we need to remember that it's going to be on Tuesday, the 14th. So we only have 2 Saturdays left when we're home to make time for that. And I know I know that my time is busy, and I know that our staffer and our body is busy. Thank you.
What purpose, senator from Alexandria? Senator Eben, rise.
A clarifying announcement, if I may. The deadline that the senator mentioned is for in-person absentee voting rather than actually voting in the primary or getting the ballot, the mail-in ballot. If you want to vote in the Democratic primary, you should see her about the deadline.
All right. For what purpose is the junior senator from Richmond City? Senator Morrissey, rise.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise for the purpose of a brief announcement.
Senator, it's the floor.
Mr. President, while many of the people in this body will be leaving the capital city preparing for a 49ers victory this weekend and going to daughters' soccer games, others will be doing judicial vetting. So if I can just remind those folks that are involved in the 11th Judicial District interviews, we were supposed to start at 1, but we're going to start at the 5th floor, room 1, immediately after adjournment of the Senate.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be recognized? Is there any other business to come before the Senate? Seeing none, the clerk will report any announcements on the desk.
Friday, January 31st, the Education and Health Subcommittee on Certificate of Public Need will not meet. The Certificate of Public Need will not meet today. This is a change. Monday, February the 3rd, the Committee on the Judiciary will meet at 8 a.m., Senate Room A, Pocahontas. The Committee on Local Government will meet at 9 a.m., Senate Room 3, Capitol. Democratic Caucus will meet at 11:30 a.m., Senate Room 1 in the Capitol. The Republican Caucus will meet at 11:30 a.m. in Senate Room 2 in the Capitol. The weekend weather report. Today, rain will arrive this evening throughout the Commonwealth and will continue into Saturday morning. Saturday, mostly cloudy with isolated evening showers possible. Temperatures will range from the low 30s to the high 40s. Sunday, mostly sunny and breezy with temperatures in the 50s. Drive friendly.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Is there any final business to come before the Senate? Seeing none, I call the senator from Portsmouth, Senator Lucas.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate do now adjourn until 12 noon on Monday.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the Senate stand adjourned until 12 noon on Monday? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Senate stands adjourned until 12 noon on Monday.